working together is gonna be legend. Wait for it.
Oh, hey there. How's it going? Welcome to a brand new episode of Zero Life. My name's Sean, and with me, of course, is Barrett Courtney. I can't talk right now. This has been too long since we've done this.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. Guten Tag, by the way. I just came from Germany.
You were in Germany.
It was really fun.
And now you're back here. Sorry about all the Nazis.
Yeah, I was in Germany. That's why we didn't have an episode last week. And that is just like one of those things. Like, I'm used to going to different places and like different cultures and stuff, but that was just like, I think the food there was the most like culture shock I've had in like ever.
Well, it's the first time you've left the country, right?
Yeah, it is.
So you've never really experienced different cultures like that.
Yeah, that's true. But like this one, it was just like, it's just meat and beer, and that's all it is. That's all they have there. Water is more expensive in Germany than beer is.
Really?
I don't even know how that's possible, people. How is it possible?
That's crazy.
I wasn't hydrated at all. No, but it was really cool. It had something called a pork knuckle, and it's like literally just like the shoulder of a pig.
Oh, I thought pork knuckle was something else.
And it's just 5 pounds of just meat. So that was really cool.
That sounds gross, but
and then like walked around Cologne, which is where Gamescom was, and
did it smell good?
Boo. Someone was trying to tell us that's where Cologne was created. Was Cologne? I didn't believe it. Though.
I feel like
that's
bullshit.
That's
bullcrap. That sounds like a Sean Pitts story.
But yeah, I'm back from Germany, and I'm just really, really exhausted. So
yeah, you woke up at like 5 a.m. You woke up when I was going to bed.
Yep.
So that's not good.
What have you been up to this last week?
Nothing. I'm going to be gone for most of the next month, so I'm sure that you're going to have a lot of guests on.
That reminds me, episode next week, because you'll be in PAX and we'll be in LA. I totally forgot we're going to LA.
That does suck. Sorry about the inconsistency.
Yeah, it's just,
travel season's really tough on us.
Yeah, and it's like we're like us two specifically. We have like a weird later travel season.
Yeah.
But when I come back and when you're gone for most stuff, I'll line up a couple of cool guests for all of y'all out there.
Nobody too cool. I want to be here for the two really cool people. You could get like, I don't know, like maybe if Fred's in town or something, get that bum. But yeah, I'm going to PAX, and then I'm
Fred Durst?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's his way or the highway that you got to be careful when you record stuff with him. I'll be in PAX, and then I'm going to New Jersey for a while. Then I might be going on a secret project.
Secret. Ooh.
Then I'm coming back and going back to New York. So
that's
I'm
cool.
basically gone until October.
Damn, that's crazy. Well, that's exciting for you, though. It's always exciting to travel around and stuff.
Yeah, it is. I like travel. Actually, the funniest thing, I hate traveling, but I like being different places. I don't like the act of going there.
Have we introduced the show yet?
This is Zero Life, a weekly talk show where Barrett and I discuss ongoing affairs in nerd culture.
So
we post every Wednesday except for when we don't, and
12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
That's what Barrett says is what goes. He's the guy who runs everything and makes everything happen.
On youtube.com/ZeroLife, on all the podcast platforms and all that good stuff, but not Spotify.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know. Spotify has like a really exclusive club where it's like only like very specific. I don't know what their criteria is.
I bet if we were a new Taylor Swift song, we could get on Spotify.
Let's talk about that new T Swift.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
I like it.
Really?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I know like everybody and their mother hates it, and it's really cool to hate it, but I listened to it before I read anybody's reactions to it, which is, I think, what happened. I think a couple of people were like...
It was like a mob mentality.
Yeah,
almost.
I think a lot of people were like, I really hate this song. And everybody else was like, I really hate this song.
For me,
it was fine.
I retweeted earlier today, and I can put it in the description below, because I actually really like this. My good friend Henry reviewed the song and like sort of goes into why it's a mess, not even just like because he doesn't like Taylor Swift, but just because of like the structure of the song and how it's just like really weird and disjointed the entire time, and like that chorus is just
The chorus
is bad.
Yeah, I think everything but the chorus.
And like I was telling Alyssa the other day or yesterday, I guess, that like I gave her props for trying to make a diss track for Kanye, but like I don't think it like really worked the way she wanted it to. She comes off like really whiny and just whatever. Like I don't know. There's something like still fake to it that like.
Well, she's an incredibly fake person.
Yeah, but the old Taylor is dead, Sean.
I like that. I think that's funny.
Yeah, they're like, but there's like where she has like the orgasm moan like in the middle of the song at one point. I was like, what is happening here?
I think like she's just doing something different.
Yeah,
and she could have just made another 1989, and everybody would have loved it.
Yeah,
but like it's more interesting if she does different stuff. And I don't know, like I like most things.
Yeah,
like I go into things trying to like. I think life is more enjoyable when you try to like things. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, I can still be very critical of things.
Yeah.
Very critical of some movies, especially movies that people like, Dark Knight Rises. And, I know it's an allegory of the cave or something. Yeah. But, so I definitely think that it's interesting. I'm excited to hear the whole album. Macklemore's also announced a new album.
Nice.
And the first 2 songs that I've heard off of that are awesome.
Did he, like, just randomly drop it, or?
He released a song 3 weeks ago for his grandmother's 100th birthday.
Uh-huh.
And then he released another song with some new rapper that I don't know.
Okay.
But they both have videos too.
I mean, it's just like, at this point, there's so many of them. It's just like Young
it's
and
like
it's like
Lil
whatever
Yachty
random.
and something like that. Okay. It's like Lil Yachty, I think. But it's great. Like, I think both of the songs are fun and they're not taking themselves too seriously.
Cool.
And they're just like, and the video that he released for his new album, it's called Gemini. It's out in September, I think. Mm-hmm. Got me really hyped. It's him talking about just like, I kind of fell into the trap of trying to be better than the heist, and like now I just want to make fun music that I want to listen to, like music that I want to make.
That's cool.
So I'm excited.
That like I always respect artists like that just want to like make music that like they would like want to listen to and stuff. That's why I've always respected Tyler the Creator. Like after he chilled out a little bit, like I feel like Goblin was like his real like, oh, you're sort of a fucked up person. And then Camp was a little or not Camp.
Whoa.
Not Camp. No,
Camp is childish.
Well, no, he has a similar Wolf. I've called it Camp because the entire narrative in that album, they're at a camp.
Yeah.
And so, and like Wolf was still a little like that, but the one after that, Cherry Bomb, like he chilled out a little more. And at one point, he's like, I'm just trying to make like cool, like hipster rap music that like I would get high to or something. So like I respect stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's what I want to see from Macklemore too. And like the videos are really fun. It looks like he's just having a good time, which is like nice. I mean, people like to hate Macklemore. Like I get hate out for liking Macklemore now because he's like super mainstream or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like his music. I don't know. I don't really ever care when people like don't like my music taste. Like, yeah, I like the new Taylor Swift, and I loved 1989, and I liked Macklemore's last album too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I feel like liking 1989 is not an unpopular. Like, I feel like a lot of people like that album.
People are like, still give me crap for liking Taylor Swift. They're like, you have to be on Team Kanye or Team Taylor. I'm like, no, you don't. I just like all their music.
The reason I don't, I have a list full of reasons that I could go on for days about why I don't like her. But it's not like the Taylor Kanye beef. It's like more just about her.
Yeah, she's not the greatest person, but then again, like I also think that any human being that is exposed to that level of fame at that age
it's so fun. It's hard.
Yeah, it would pretty much destroy any.
There's a South Park episode about that where it was like first it was Madonna, then it's Britney, and I think it was. I think at the time when they did the episode, it was like about Miley Cyrus or some shit.
I mean, you cannot. I imagine that. Like, people are like, "Oh, Justin Bieber got arrested for driving his Lamborghini in Florida." I was like, "He's worth like $100 million." You know what I would be doing if I was 18 years old and worth $100 million? Anything I wanted all the time. I basically do that now, and I'm worth like negative $16,500. So imagine if I was a millionaire.
Yeah. But of more music, we haven't really had like a good music episode lately. It's not a lot to talk about. I feel like there's a real good dry spell, and all we talked about was Hamilton, and everybody was like, "Stop fucking talking about Hamilton." We didn't listen to Hamilton all this last week, and I was really impressed.
You guys didn't.
I mean, yeah, you probably did. Front Bottoms announced a new album, dropped a new single for that album, and announced a tour that I got tickets to. Front Bottoms is like one of my favorite bands. They're like sort of. I was trying to explain this to Goldfrog the other day because I was like trying to get him into it because I think he would like it. It's like indie emo pop punk sort of stuff. Like I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but
they're fine. I like them.
They're one of my favorite bands, and I've always missed every single opportunity I've had to go see them. So this is going to be finally my first time seeing them in concert, and I'm really excited. So I got the tickets. I really like the new single. It gives me a lot of vibes from the last album, Back on Top, which is like a little more like, the instrumental feels like a little more like happy and easygoing and less aggressive as it was in what's the one before that? I forget the album before that, but the sort of the topic he has in this new single seems a little more on the downside. So it's a weird mix of like sort of interplaying with like negative emotions and positive emotions, like positive within the instrumentals itself and negative within the sort of connotation of the lyrics. So I'll be interested to see like what the entire album is about, and that'll be in late October, I think.
No, it's early November. Your concert?
No, our concert's early November 6th. The album comes out late October.
I know that because I have a concert that I'm going to on November 7th.
Oh, where are you going to
in
go
Santa
see?
Cruz. So recently, one of my favorite rappers, who Big Nick showed me and Sean Simpson showed me, is a guy named Sunreal.
Okay.
He's a Canadian rapper, and I like a lot of
Canada,
Canadian. I like a lot of Canadian. I like
rap
some
about
Canadian
maple
rappers.
leaves and
He's a white guy, and he just dropped his first album. But he had like a bunch of really good mixtapes before that, and what had happened is like he kind of blew up and went on this huge tour after his mixtapes. He shot this really interesting, weird video called Everywhere We Go. And he was like, he got signed. He was doing tours. He was working on his album, and then his dad died.
Oh.
And he couldn't finish this album.
Oh, wow.
He was like having a hard time.
Yeah.
And it's actually, he addresses it on the first song. So the album finally came out. It's called One Long Dream.
Okay.
I think that's One Long Road. Yeah. And in the first song, he talks about, like, he has a line where he was like, I didn't want to make any music, man. My dad just died. And it's like really emotional, like of him like trying to finish this album that he's been working on. And like his 2 singles off that album went platinum, and they were like huge hits in Canada, and they were huge. They were like, we didn't really get too much of it down here, but they're great songs, and they have millions of views online, and it's
that's cool.
And then it's like, he was like, I'm supposed to have the biggest win of my life, and then my dad dies as soon as that happens, and it hit close to home for me listening to it, and then like it's a really great album.
Cool.
It's like very unique. He has a very unique rapping style.
Okay.
It's like white kid trap music, but it's like, it sounds bad, but it's really good.
When you put the word trap in it, I was like,
well, he likes to say like he mixes trap rap with other stuff, and he has like real instruments, and it's really interesting. Okay. He's coming to Santa Cruz in November, so I bought tickets to that. I have to figure out a way to get there.
That venue's not the best.
It's gonna be a small concert. He's not big yet.
No, I know, but that venue is just not because we saw the Wonder Years a couple of years down there, and it's just like they have like the one place, and it's like sort of, it's not like super huge. It's not like Regency Ballroom, but it's not as small as like Slim's in San Francisco. It's like a sort of middle ground, but it's fine.
Yeah,
you're gonna. If he is like well known enough to get a bunch of people in the Bay Area to come, because everybody in the Bay Area will go to that. It'll get a little sweaty in there.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I got the VIP ticket. Yeah. And so because his meet and greet was only $70.
Oh, nice.
So you get the ticket and to meet him and a free signed CD.
So VIP for that venue probably means you get to go in early, do the whole meet and greet thing, and then you just get early access to getting it onto the floor.
You also get to watch him warm up and do the entire so it was like it felt like a lot of value in that for
That's
like
cool.
$70, and like you get intimate time with him where he talks about he's going to talk to you about his album and take pictures, and you get an autographed version of the CD, which is cool.
That's cool. There's something similar like that for that Wonder Years show at that venue. I didn't get tickets for the whole VIP thing, but my friend Jack got to go in, and they did a whole interview thing with like the band and stuff, where like people just got to ask him questions and shit, and that was really cool.
Yeah, yep. I love supporting music. I love supporting lesser known people like that too.
Yeah.
I also think he's going to be really big one day. Mm-hmm. He is very good. So he makes very good music. So
very good.
I wish that making very good music was the only catalyst to being successful in music. But it's unfortunate.
It's a lot of different things. A lot of branding and merchandising and There's a lot of stuff. Speaking of another, really small like sort of artist group or whatever, brand new just came out. Well, not just, about a week and a half ago. dropped their first album in 8 years.
Real quick,
What?
funny brand new story.
What?
I had no idea who brand new was until like 3 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
I missed the brand new train completely. Like I
you
remember,
did.
I remember seeing people on Facebook like Facebooking this weird picture of this Grim Reaper guy in a Grim Reaper costume and a kid.
Oh yeah.
And
So
I was
that's the cover art for Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me, with like the two guys and like the Grim Reaper stuff, and like around the corner of the house there's like a little girl and shit.
Yeah, but I didn't know what it was, so
Yeah.
I was like, these guys are doing a lot of crack. Like, I don't know who is like. And then a lot of people were like Facebooking, this is the first song in your mixtape, like lyrics from that, and I was
Yeah.
like, sounds catchy. But I don't know, I just never like bothered looking into it.
Yeah.
But now I listen to some brand new every once in a
Yeah,
while. I like
you,
them. They're,
you,
they're
you really like that first album that came out, Your Favorite Weapon,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
came out
yeah.
in 2001, which is crazy.
That's
to think.
crazy
Yeah,
because
that's 16 years ago.
I didn't know who they were until like
2 years ago.
the end of the Obama administration.
And then, so yeah, they started out like super pop punk, and then it was like this whole like 180 turn to Deja Entendu, the next album, where they sort of like completely went emo and all of this stuff. There's a current band out there right now that did something similar called The Hotelier, where they're super pop punk on their first album, and then just made the most depressing emo album the second one. You're like, what happened in like the year and a half in between these albums? And
Probably a breakup.
Jesse Lacey from Brand New, a lot. I think it's like some breakup stuff, but like a lot more. Hotelier, it's like a lot more. It's like suicide.
I
and,
love
like,
that Venn
crazy stuff.
diagram you showed me, where it's like all pop punk bands. It's like, I hate my town, I hate my ex-girlfriend, I hate my life, and then like.
Well, no,
all
it's
these-
like I hate my town, I hate my girlfriend, and I love pizza. It's like pop punk in the middle. And then from Deja Entendu, which still had like sort of like pop punky like things to it, because there's some songs off of there I think like you would still like.
Oh yeah, I do.
But then when you get to Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me, which I haven't listened to in a couple years, that's when they start to get like really like heavy and like dark and stuff. And I remember the last time I listened to that album, I like wasn't super into it, and I was listening to the first half this morning. I was like, okay, like I like this a little more. And then Daisy, which came out in 2009, which was their last album before Science Fiction, was like just really sort of like obscure and just like really dark. And to be honest, just so you can get a perspective of my view of Brand New, so you understand where I'm coming from this science fiction sort of impressions that I have. I did not like Daisy at all. So it's been a very long time since there's been a Brand New album out
you've
that
liked.
I've been into.
It's like super important band for a lot of people, because
Yes,
I was reading
like even people like Andy Cortez and Joey Noel, and it's like a lot of people like.
my friends from high school. Some of the people I'm still friends with. My friend Julian, who is like a great kid and big IGN fan, too,
Okay,
which is
cool.
cool. It was funny. I didn't know that until I started working at IGN. He's like, dude, I love IGN. I love Jared Petty, and I was like, he really loves Jared Petty. But him, after I moved away from my hometown, him and my other good friend Greg were like really into music. Like, there's a great picture of like my friend Greg reaching out to the lead singer of Coheed and Cambria, and then,
nice.
like he's like on stage like reaching back. It's like
Yeah.
this really awesome picture. They apparently see Coheed like 28 times in concert,
Jeez.
and they've seen Brand New a bunch of times too. And there was like he like tweeted a text chain between the guys after Science Fiction came out, where my friend Greg was like, Coheed is my favorite band of all time, but I think Brand New is actually the most important band because they've been with me through every stage of my life.
Yeah.
And now they drop Science Fiction, and it's like a really adult album in my really adult years.
Yeah.
And he's like, we went through like the beginning of being awkward and kids, and then like the
And
like
then,
when
like,
I was
angsty
sad, and I was like,
angsty,
and I was
then
like
more emo, and like now this is like. Let's just get into this album.
all right, yeah.
Sean.
I mean, you're gonna have a lot more to say than I did. I like it. I think the cover art is funny.
I actually have some things to say. What do you think about the cover art?
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I like how like their cover art is like very odd.
Yeah, it's always
like
super
really
vague.
weird.
Like even Your Favorite Weapon, like back when they were pop punk, it's like there's two versions of it. There's one where it's like the clock thing that you hit when you play chess, and it's like I think like a pawn or something like knocked over, and then the other version I think is Jesse Lacey, the lead singer, like sleeping on a one.
I like stuff like that. I don't know why. It's just like it
like
comes
very
off as very
vague.
artsy
Yeah.
and very vague. Like, don't get me wrong, the one with the astronaut.
Deja Entendu.
That cover art is beautiful.
Yeah,
that cover art is so iconic in my mind. It's beautiful.
Back when I was a Tumblr piece of shit, going on Tumblr a lot, there's always there's a great line from that album where it's like every picture you paint, I will paint myself out. And someone made on Tumblr where it's like it'll have the regular like cover art, and then like the next picture was like without the astronaut and stuff, and I was like, that's real sad.
I always love thinking
I'll
about.
repost that on Tumblr.
I love thinking about Tumblr, Barrett. There's nothing that
dude, it's bad, man.
Like when you post pictures from yourself when you were like a kind of like,
a fuckboy.
Yeah, like it's my favorite. I'm like, who is that guy?
I was very different in high school.
I wish I hung out with that Barrett just a couple of times, like just like one or two times, and be like, God.
I was way more relaxed back then. I'll say that.
Yeah, you had shorter hair.
Well, at least when it came to everything except for theater, I was way more relaxed.
I can't even imagine how intense you were about theater.
Oh, dude,
I can't. Like, I would like.
You haven't met Ricky Baldazan or like anyone yet, but like. Ricky like comes in every once in a while, and we go to that bar. Just sit down for him for like 30 minutes and just because like he was my closest friend during all of that, so he could just tell you stories and stories about
I feel
the little ball of stress I was in theater.
I have like a vivid memory that never happened of like walking in and be like, oh, this is a cool theater, and you're like, it's theater. All right.
No, it wasn't that bad.
With a scarf on and a short sleeve shirt, like throwing around.
Yeah, I miss my theater days. I also dyed my hair a lot back then too.
I'm dyeing my hair in October.
Okay.
I am. I'm not even kidding.
Where are you gonna dye it?
Blonde.
Okay.
For my Halloween costume.
Are you saving what? Is it a surprise?
Yeah, it's a surprise. But
right, tell me
you
off on
after.
camera. Anyway, brand new science fiction. They like just randomly dropped it out of nowhere, and yeah, it was really cool. Like there was like a couple of days, like 2 days beforehand, like just this random pre-order for an unnamed like vinyl record for brand new was like up on their site. It was like, what the fuck is this for? Like, what's going on?
That's so cool.
And then the next day, people got like fans who were like signed up for the site or whatever. 500 of them were mailed just the CD with coordinates on it. And if you looked up the coordinates, it's like where they recorded the album, and you put the CD in, and it was just the album.
That's so cool.
I know, like the way they did this was like just really cool, because it was like everybody was scrambling, because for like a good 5 or 6 hours, that was the only way you could listen to it, was if you got sent that copy. And then eventually they put it up on their site of like, you can buy it digitally and all this stuff, and like the physical CD and vinyl will be out in October, but like now you can have it digitally and all this shit. So that was just like, it was really cool. I got to listen to it a lot on my trip to Germany, and oh man, I think this album is definitely the culmination of all of their past sounds, like even from Daisy, which I said I didn't really like, and like Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me, but they're like, I think they took the experimentations from those albums and like reined them in a little bit, and like combined them with stuff from like Deja Entendu and even a couple other things, like not even part of that like emo like genre. Like I get vibes from like Velvet Underground in some tracks, and like like sort of like avant-garde like vibes during a couple of them, like 451. There's a part like right before the chorus where he's like, swallow the pitch that comes from the earth or something. I forget what the exact line is, but the way he said it, he like speaks it, and it's like two different recordings coming from like both like left and right. And that's a very like Lou Reed Velvet Underground thing to do, like that he based like 3 or 4 of like his songs off of that, right? And then like a lot of just like the ambient stuff, I feel like it's very Pink Floyd influence and stuff, like a lot of their concept albums, like like Dark Side of the Moon, I get like a vibe from just like the eeriness of it. So there's a lot of cool stuff like that, and there's even like early 90s like grunge in it almost, just like that they were like able to mix into their own sound, which I think is like really cool. It's all like sort of subtle, but like if you're listening for it and you like know that stuff really well, which I do because I was raised by my father who raised me on all 3 of those things, you sort of start to pick it up. And like this album is really interesting. It's like a year ago they had announced that their next album was their last album, and they released the shirt that was like brand new 2000 through 2018. And it was like weirdly them announcing that they were going to break up in a couple of years, and then they like sort of went back on it. And I don't know like where they are at now with like they're actually like done or whatnot. But there's a possibility that this might be their last record. And it would make sense for the sort of theme of this album that this is their last record, because it's a lot about like accepting the end and sort of like not having like sort of a carefree view of death almost, and sort of like the death of brand new maybe. And that's why like I want to talk about the cover, where it's like the two girls like jumping. You don't know where they jumped, where from.
That
like,
second girl's
like,
really high in the air.
Yeah, it was like
that's like at least 2 stories.
Yeah, it was like there's that sort of ledge, but they almost seem too far away to jump from that ledge, so they could even be further up. But they look like they're sort of enjoying themselves, and like even the cover art gives like this sense of like carefree for the possibility of death, like this sort of carefree feeling for the possibility of death. And that's what the vibe I get from this, and Jesse Lacey sort of coming to terms of the end, but also sort of being hesitant about carrying on his demons. I forgot to look this up before the show, but he references his son a couple of times throughout the album. I don't know if that's like a metaphorical thing that he's doing, if he actually like has a child, but he's obviously had just really bad depression and all of these like personal things he's been working with. So if it's true that he has a son, I don't know. Post-credit editing Barrett can probably put in right here if he has a son or not.
I think Alyssa's looking it up right now.
Probably.
Yeah.
And so if that's true, he might be hesitant of like, if he leaves this world, if it's like a physical death that he's talking about, like scared of putting those demons onto his like son and and like passing that on. But then like later on in the album, there's a track called No Control, and it's like, I think at that point he sort of accepts that it's like, even if I do go, like I can't do anything about like doing this stuff to like further generations and stuff. And like and then Batter Up, the last track, is very much of just like, it's literally just a song about like next person up, you know, like this is the cycle and stuff. And it reminds me a lot of Deja Entendu's last song, where it's all about like the story of Deja Entendu. He says, there's a specific line, it's like, the story's over, but it never ends, and it's always in a cycle. And this track reminds me a lot of that, but more this album being a lot more about death and ending and stuff. I think it's their best work. I think it's without a doubt their best album. Some people will probably disagree with me, because a lot of people hold Deja Entendu like in high regard, but I think that comes in a lot of people's like favorite album ever list. Yeah, like when I talk to people a lot, like when Marty plays something from that album, the bar like explodes. Yeah, and it's like Marty only plays stuff from that album. He never plays like Your Favorite Weapon or anything past that. It's like always from Deja, because Deja like was their like sort of smash hit like album. That was like the album that they're known for. But I think this is like their best work, just as like an album as a whole, you know. And because like I said earlier, it's like it's a culmination of like all of their experimenting and sounds and stuff, and like because of that, it's like I feel weird saying this, but I think it's almost their Abbey Road of like the Beatles were doing a lot of experimenting, and like with the White Album and the Magical Mystery Tour, and like trying to do all of these different sounds, and then it like all came together in the Abbey Road, and they all like were able to fit all of these missing like puzzle pieces to make it just like one full sound that kicked ass the entire time. And I think that's what this is for Brand New.
Yeah, I mean, for me, not being nearly as big of a Brand New fan as mostly anybody. Yeah, but like I like them. Yeah. I don't not like Brand New. Yeah. I want to be
you're like a casual, like, exactly. Yeah, I'm into it.
I'm a casual fan, but like there's a lot of stuff.
You could fucks with it.
Yeah, I could fucks with it. Yeah. So this album drops and it's all over my Twitter feed, just everywhere. And I'm like, all right, well, I have to listen to this album. But I kind of had like the perfect. So I broke my other headphones. So the only headphones that I can use until the pair that I have now, I was using my work Sony. Like the ones that we have at work, the completely noise canceling, like you can't hear anything when you have those headphones on, except for the music you're listening to. So I got in a really
you can't even listen to the music.
It's just needles in there. Pop. So the album comes out. You're on your way to Germany, and I'm in San Francisco, and it is. I have such a love of this city. Side note, like San Francisco is my favorite place in the world. If you don't know, it is my favorite place in the world because of days like.
But have you ever been to Cologne, Germany?
No,
you haven't.
Sure, it smells great.
No, it smells fine. It's just a lot of beer and a lot of meat.
Well, I don't like beer.
I know.
Because you get days like this. If you don't know, today in San Francisco, it's 71 degrees out. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Even here, it's starting to get a little warm.
Yeah, it's a little warm. But when I walked outside, I was downtown San Francisco. It was raining just a little. It was super gray.
Yeah.
I put on the first track of Science Fiction, and I got in the back of what is
that's like the perfect like vibe to have.
Yeah, what would go on to be the longest Uber ride I've ever had in San Francisco. It was like a 41-minute Uber ride. I basically
so you listened to
the
like
whole album almost.
Well, it's an hour and a minute long, so you listen to like
and it was like we were like we picked up a bunch of people and we're getting stuck in traffic, and it was like I was stuck in like
stuck doing that pool, dude.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like, because I didn't care. I wasn't in a rush.
Yeah.
I was just listening. I was sitting in the front seat and with like the view of the Bay Bridge in front of me, and it's like raining, and like listening to Brand New, and I was like, this is like when they were making this album, this is where they wanted people to listen. Like, this is exactly how they wanted people to listen to this album. Yeah. And it was perfect. It was like the soundtrack to like slowly driving through my favorite city in the world. So it's like, I think that memory will always be really cool for me.
Yeah.
I've only listened to the album all the way through once.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I think it was good. I am excited to really dig into it. Sunreal's album came out at the same time, so like that takes priority because hip hop is my favorite genre of music ever. Yeah, and then like emo pop punk stuff is my wheelhouse. So it's so funny too because it was like people don't know that I like that type of music though because that was when I interviewed you back for BZG. You're like, yeah, I listen to modern baseball. I was like, what? You're like, wait a minute, I'm sorry, what'd you say? But you're so happy all the time. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I do though. My friend Alex and I get along really well because we like she'll be like, hey, have you heard this really like this is sad? You should listen to it. And I'm like, I love sad music. Sad. So I definitely like it a lot. Not my favorite work by them, but I also haven't listened to it enough to really be able to say that. I don't know. So I'm excited to listen to it more though. It's exciting. It's good. Always good to have more good music out. Yeah, and there's like with that first track, like just another example about like sort of being fine with like passing on and stuff. Like that first track where it opens up and it's that interview with the woman who had like been up for 40 hours like doing psychotherapy and stuff, and she's talking about her dream. Like the last thing she says, it's like it's something about like, you know, I don't mind that I have these feelings, but I'm also like fine for like when it ends, you know. And it's like it's very much just like fuck, like Jesse Lacey, I hope you're okay. Like, it's always scary when you put out something like when it's so good and like you're connecting with it, and then you realize like, shit, what headspace were they in? Like, when they did all this? I always tell people that I think Donald Glover is the most talented person in the world, and when he eventually kills himself, it's gonna be really sad. Yeah, and people are always like, "Whoa, you're a monster," and I'm like, "Have you really listened to his music?" And just see like even listen to Cul-de-sac, where he's talking about killing himself on like 4 of the tracks of the song. Yeah. And like how he like left this girl and like people are like, oh, those were just made up stories. And I'm like, go listen to the last where like there's a lot of stuff in there. And even in Because of the Internet, and I know that he's like a concept artist. Yeah. And I get that. Like, believe me, I've done so much research on Childish Gambino. Like, I love that guy. Mm-hmm. But like eventually all my followers realize they don't need a leader is like one of the last lines of Because of the Internet where he's talking about like the end for him sometime. I don't know, like it's just it always freaks me out. And like he's also a stand-up comedian, which is like kind of telling. Yeah, it's just like people who are that creative also often suffer. Yeah, so it's very scary to like definitely. I could definitely see what you're saying about the lead singer Brandon. Yeah, but like it could also be this whole like ending of the band, who knows, but I think it's fantastic. And it was funny, like I made that, like I thought, I was like, shit, like this is their Abbey Road. And then like yesterday I finally like started reading reviews of like the album because I just went like full dark. I had like literally the only person I knew like I talked to about it was Joey, and she was like, I really love it and all this stuff, like it's so great. And that was the only other impression I got. And then someone else's review of the album was like, this is the Abbey Road of the emo genre. I was like, fuck, all right, I'm not the only one who thinks this then. So at least I'm not as insane as I thought I was for saying that. But if you're someone who like doesn't want to like dedicate like a whole hour and might like want to like ease into it and like just check out like a track or two, like give me the hits. Yeah, so Can't Get It Out, which is the second song. Same Logic / Teeth.
and then 137, which is one of the numbered tracks, and 451, I think are both really great. Can't Get It Out and 451, I think, are like probably the easier of those four to get into. Same logic, and 137 are just very like, I think those sort of represent the entire album as a whole better. But yeah, like 451 is like definitely like a banger for emo stuff, and Can't Get It Out is really fucking great. Like when I was listening to Can't Get It Out, I was like, this is obviously going to be the single for the album. So yeah, brand new science fiction. If you're into that music and you haven't checked it out, you should. If you're not into that music, maybe, I don't know, do what you want.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter show today because we didn't do viewer questions.
Yeah, but we have one more thing to talk about, Sean.
What's that?
I played like the first half of Uncharted, The Lost Legacy.
Oh, I thought we were about to talk about Parks and Rec. God, I got really, because I thought you were doing your John Raffio impression.
No. We'll get to that in a second.
Flush with cash.
I started Uncharted: The Lost Legacy in a very weird haze last night. About an hour and a half in, I was like, I need to stop playing this. And then I started playing a couple more hours this morning, and I'm really digging it so far. Like from the first like half of the game, you don't really get a lot of like their motivations. Like I just started getting into it, and it's like fascinating. But like I don't know, it's like cool to see like Chloe and Nadine working together, and like it's cool to not know for like the first third of the game, basically, of like why, like what are they doing, like why are they after this piece of art, like why are they after this artifact. And then like they're slowly like building up to it, which I like hope will like lead to a cool climax for the entire story. But right now, so far, I'm loving it. I don't want to say too much just because Sean hasn't played it at all, and
No,
I don't know.
not.
It's also like only been sort of like a week, so I don't know like how many people have realistically picked it up.
I haven't gotten to play it yet. I do want to play it.
Yeah.
Overwatch's season ends today. Honestly, like this is probably it for Overwatch and I.
Oh, really?
Destiny comes out in 2 weeks.
Oh, dang. Then this will be the Destiny show.
Yeah. Welcome, Guardians.
You predicted that I would play 60 hours of that game.
Did I say 60?
Yeah, when we were talking about Destiny 2,
that's
when
not
that when that was revealed, you're like, you're going to play
How many hours
60.
did you play of Overwatch?
Overwatch? God, like 20.
It'll be about
maybe.
that.
Like maybe 20.
Because like Fred and I are going to be playing it, and we'll probably need a third, and we'll bug you. And it'll be fun for you to just sit on and mindlessly shoot stuff. I just think I don't
think it'll happen.
I think I'm excited.
Because I'm going to play the Uncharted Lost Legacy, and then I'm going to play Jack and Dexter, the precursor Legacy.
Oh
Let's
my God,
go.
what is it with you playing horrible games? Jack
and Dexter 1 is so great, man. Come on. What could possibly be bad about that? That's a solid 3D platformer.
That's like saying like, yeah, okay, you're right. It's a solid 3D platformer.
Yeah.
It's a solid game in a bad genre.
Whatever. 3D platformers are dope.
No, they're not. There's a reason they don't exist anymore. Who was the last good solid 3D platformer? That's not a remake of an old game. Don't you dare say Ukulele.
I haven't played it, so I
1/3 of the
can't.
game is bad.
1/5.
1/5 of the game is bad.
Apparently.
If that game didn't get a 10 from Marty Sleva, and it didn't, then no, that game's not good.
But besides Uncharted, since I was in Gamescom, or in Germany for Gamescom, I was like working our live show, so a bunch of guests got to come on. So like, it made me like watch a bunch of games that like weren't on my like radar at all. So like, just like cool impressions from like Shadow of War. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of Shadow of Mordor. Like,
Neither was
like I thought the Nemesis system was really cool, but like that world was super boring to go through.
So easy.
Yeah, and it was like, but for this one, I feel like they improved the combat from just like what I saw. It looks like they improved the combat, and the world actually looks like fun to be in. That was like my thing with the first one, where it was like, all right, I've played like 5 hours, and I think I've seen like nothing has changed. It was like Fallout 3, where it's like, everything's the same color palette, everything looks the same, but like this one, it actually looks like it has life in it, which I'm like really excited for.
Mostly boring characters in a universe where we know the ending. Like, I definitely understand what you mean. And like, yeah, I played Shadow of Mordor, and I think I told you like, when I killed my 100th orc in a row without dying, I turned the game off. I picked the fight with this like the worst possible scenario.
Yeah,
I was completely surrounded and just killed everybody, and I was like, this game's boring. Games have to challenge me, or I don't.
Assassin's Creed Origins, like that is like,
looks cool.
It looks really cool, and I like the whole like that the fighting system is like not quick time stuff anymore, and it's more hitboxy, like just a little more just updated for like modern like fighting mechanics and stuff, which I'm really down for. And then Wolfenstein, God, that like even Wolfenstein is like that could be my game of the year. Who the hell knows?
No, it isn't. Zelda's gonna be a game of the
But
year.
who knows, Sean? Wolfenstein looks so
looks
good,
fine.
dude. Wolfenstein though, like they show I forget which segment. I think it's really early in the game. Like I think it's like possibly the first like 20 minutes. Don't hold me to that though. I have no idea, but it looks early on, and it's like you're going through this facility in like a wheelchair because like
It sounds like the first 20 minutes. Of
yeah.
game.
It's like, and you're just like taking down like Nazis in a wheelchair, and it's just hilarious like how you're taking them
We should
down.
go to
It's like,
GameStop today
why?
because I want to buy a couple pre-owned games and then return them for full value. I cheat the system, man. We should also play Resident Evil when I get my TV.
No, I'm done with Resident Evil. That game was real scary.
That game was so scary.
I don't like it anymore.
Anyway, so I mean, like, that has one of my favorite moments of the year.
Yeah.
You screaming while I'm playing the game behind me. It's still one of the
See, that's my
greatest
thing. That's my
moments.
thing with horror. It's like it sucks because I'm always in the in between. With like movie horror, it's like it's too boring. I'm not into it.
But
It's
it
like whatever.
though,
We'll see with it, but like for the most part, it's like the clown looks creepy, but like we'll see if like it actually like holds up and stuff. But then like with horror games, I'm like it's too much. It's like because it's so like you're in it, like you're that character, you're in that narrative. It's like it's scary.
the
It's
fact
gonna get you.
that people played Resident Evil 7 in VR is the most mind-blowing thing.
Like you can play that entire game, and it's just like how.
No, you can't. I guess it's physically possible, but
Yeah,
I know
like-
you can't. Don't lie. But yeah, for me, it's Destiny comes out in 2 weeks, and then who the hell knows when
Yeah,
next time I'm gonna play another video game is, to be honest. Like,
it's gonna be another year and a half. Let's be
at
honest.
least because I think that Fred's schedule is changing at his job, and he'll be able to play video games with me again.
That's cool.
And then like Mobley plays a lot of Destiny.
Josh Mobley does play a lot of
and
Destiny.
I'm gonna get on there, and it's a good chance that the only problem that I'm running into is that I don't think I'm gonna be here when it comes out.
Yeah.
Like I won't be. But I'm bringing my PlayStation 4 with me
Oh,
wherever I
okay.
go.
It's
Like
dedicated.
this
dedication.
is Destiny, man. This is like a Gears of War level launch for me. This like
Yeah.
Destiny is in my top 5 favorite games of all time.
Okay.
So Destiny's probably like 3rd on that list actually, if I think about it. So it's definitely a very exciting time to be a Destiny fan.
It's also an exciting time to be a Cuphead fan because
That looks cool.
The platforming looks way better than when they originally showed it like a year ago, where it just like seemed really like basic. It was like because like I think what happened with Cuphead, it was like they made a boss rush game, and everybody put inside their heads, me included, that like, oh, there's gonna be like a 2D platformer, and they're like, and they like faded in. They did like the Homer Simpson like going
Back
into
the
like the bush, and then they like went away for a while to make platforming, and then like they showed the first platforming level of the game last year, and everybody was like, this is basic as fuck. And then they like went back into the bush, and then they came out this year, and it was like, oh yeah, okay, it's like this looks solid now.
I can't wait for it to be the Dark Souls of platforming. You know people are gonna say that.
Well, people were saying it's punishing. Alana did a video for IGN where it's like definitely like a punishing video game. But yeah, people are gonna. It's the 2D platformer of Dark Souls, and I'm just gonna
Let's start throwing people at things that say like, throwing things at people.
Well, no,
that say that.
it's not even gonna be that. I'm not gonna be angry. It's gonna be just like the Joe Bluth season 4 of Arrested Development, where it's like, "Hello, darkness, my old friend."
Ooh.
I just wanted to bring up those games because those were like when I was working our live show and seeing the demos that people were showing for our live show. I was like, oh, like these are standouts for me. So
Yeah, for me, it's more of I watched a bunch of this stuff. Assassin's Creed looks really cool. Cuphead looks cool. I'll play those. PUBG when PUBG comes out for PlayStation or Xbox,
yeah,
I will most certainly be playing that. I'll be playing that in between Destiny runs because that's like a game you can always kind of play.
that might be a game where like might come into your room every once in a while and be like, yo, can I play around? Because I haven't played it all, but like I'll watch like just Let's Plays and just people playing it. I'm like, this seems fun, but I really hate mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, so do I.
It's so bad. I don't understand how y'all do it.
I mean,
Like,
I have
it's
an
just
house
bad.
Xbox for the house, so
Yeah.
I'm getting so like here's the plans right now. In the next 2 months, I'm getting a PS4 Pro. I
Cool.
have to. I've decided that my PS4
Yeah,
is dead.
your PlayStation's dying right now.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
on
I
its
can
last
only
leg.
on its max.
It's like on its last toe, to be honest.
It gets like 5 megabytes or MBS down.
That's crazy. Because I downloaded Uncharted: The Lost Legacy last night in like 20 minutes, and that was like a 40 gig.
What is your download speed? That you're
I
getting?
don't remember.
It's like mine's so bad.
Yeah,
So I tried to use PlayStation Now,
Oh no!
And it was
what
like-
were you playing?
Red Dead, because I really wanted to play Red Dead, and I was like,
Jeez.
because I finished watching Westworld, and let me tell you, I've only played McCree in Overwatch since, and Westworld is lit as hell. Like that show is amazing. One of my favorite shows of last year, probably my favorite show of last year.
I'm interested to see where they take Westworld season 2. Just because I felt like that ending felt really like, oh, now there's all these different worlds and stuff, and it felt, I don't know, it felt really like forced in. I don't
It's
know.
also really interesting watching that show with Woody,
Yeah.
who is basically the Westworld equivalent of a genius. Well, he's an everyday equivalent of
but
a
he
genius.
also just loves
But
Nolan.
man, does he
and that's a Jonathan Nolan joint and all that stuff. So yeah.
He is like the king of Westworld. I was like, when did you know that this happened? He was like,
Here.
11 seconds into the show. When the title screen popped up, I was like, oh, this is how the show ends. You could tell by the font. He's like a Rain Man for Westworld. What?
Anyway, Sean, you've been watching
That's not insulting at all.
Parks and Rec.
I want to clarify. I'm not being mean.
No, I know.
It's
but
so
it's just-
impressive. All the
just
things.
some
that
of
he-
the things that come out of your mouth. I'm
Like-
why?
So I don't want to spoil Westworld. I kind of do want to spoil a portion of Westworld.
I mean, you're the one who's late. I think we're fine on Westworld spoilers at
So
this point.
when it turns out that Bernard is
One of the robots.
no, when it turns out that he is like his like robot was based off of Arnold.
Yeah.
Did you know that Arnold's name is an anagram for Bernard's name?
Yeah, like their
didn't-
full name.
Yeah, I
and
didn't
stuff,
know that. He was like, "Yeah, I figured that out." I
Yeah.
was like, "Of course you did, Woody. Of course you did."
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching Parks and Rec lately. That show's good.
Yeah. It takes a bit.
I'm
but-
halfway through season 3, and it's finally the point where I enjoy watching the show.
Yeah, and I think that was the same thing for you for The Office, though, because I remember when you first watched The Office, and it wasn't until the middle of season 3 where you're like, oh yeah, I actually like these characters now. So,
Yeah, it does take a really long time to warm up to this, and that style of show, like,
Yeah.
it takes a really
and Parks
long.
and Rec, I feel like is a little more. It feels a little more produced, just of like how everything like works.
It also is like those characters just aren't as likable, in my opinion, as The Office. Like, I
Yeah.
think that Jim, Dwight, and Pam are so likable.
Yeah.
Like, even though you hate Dwight for a while, like you can
love
tell
him
that
at the
Dwight
same-
is so fun.
Yeah,
He
and
is
he's
the-
also just like a good person at heart.
Dwight is the linchpin of that show.
Yeah.
He is the funniest character in that show. People can I know that everybody loves like Michael Scott, and I think that he's great in that show. Obviously, the show suffers when he's gone a little bit, but if
It suffers when Will Ferrell just
Yeah.
weirdly plopped in there.
if Dwight was to have left that show would have fallen apart.
Yeah.
He's the linchpin of that show. There's the actor who plays Dwight on Twitter the other day retweeted an
Rainn
article
Wilson.
that said Black Bear attacks blah blah blah, and he just retweeted and says, "I've been telling you this for years." So he is so funny.
Nice.
So yeah, I really like. My favorite character in Parks and Rec is John Ralphio, only because he's so funny.
He's like so extra. That's why.
I know, I love it so much.
Yeah.
Like every scene that he's in, I'm like, this is about to be a banger right here. No, but like Andy's great. It's also funny to see Chris Pratt pre Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Where he's
just
like,
so
he's
fat.
he's the 4th person on the list of credits.
Yeah.
Like there's like Aubrey Plaza is ahead of him in the credits list,
Yep.
and Aziz Ansari, and now it's like he is the biggest star by a mile.
Yeah, and he's like he was a cute boy back then, but now he's like hot and
Yeah.
shit now. It's like
And
Jesus.
I know that happens during the run of Parks and Rec. Like he becomes Starlight, so like I know how they write around it. I've already seen it
Okay.
because I was watching.
Like
the
yeah, I
videos for
just stopped drinking beer.
Yeah, it's like
really that's how much beer you were drinking? Yeah.
it's pretty great. I'm excited to see the later years of that show. But right
Yeah.
now I'm enjoying it. Ron Swanson is hilarious.
Yeah. Well, they really hit their stride. Like, I think from season 3 until the rest of the show, because no one leaves, right?
Yeah,
Like
I think Jerry's great. Like, I think that ensemble is really, really good.
fucking Jerry.
Yeah, and I have the biggest crush on Aubrey Plaza.
I've been telling y'all for years.
And
Aubrey
I met
Plaza's
her
the
at
best.
Comic-Con,
Yeah.
and like, I was like, I don't know if I've ever met a prettier woman in my life. I was like, oh my god, it's like staring into the eclipse.
I had a crush on Aubrey Plaza when I saw Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh yeah,
That's how long I've
She's
been on
so
that
pretty.
Aubrey Plaza.
That
train.
that movie has a bunch of like really really great people in it.
Oh yeah. Captain Marvel is like in that movie and stuff.
There's
and,
a bunch of really great characters in that movie.
Anne from Arrested Development is in it.
Anna Kendrick in that movie?
Yeah, Anne Kendrick is the sister. And then you got Chris Evans and
What a killer cast they put together for that
yeah,
film.
that was such a great cast.
What a great film.
And that one dude who ended up being like who's like the villain. I forget what he's from, but he's in a lot of hipster movies. So yeah. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, pretty great.
Speaking of great fights, there wasn't one last night.
Let's talk about the
Mayweather-McGregor fight. Only for a minute.
Mayweather
McGregor.
McGregor fight.
Only for a minute.
Yeah.
Because this isn't our audience.
Yeah, and I also don't understand any of it.
Here's the thing. No one really understands it.
No one understands
Most people who are talking right now watch fights once every 2 fucking years. I'm trying not to curse on the podcast, but this is one of my biggest pet peeves.
We've been pretty good today.
Yeah. If you don't watch fighting, you really have no basis to talk about fighting.
Especially like this is like an outsider perspective looking in. Like I've seen a couple of like UFC fights, and that's where McGregor is like.
Well, yeah, of course.
He does UFC. So it's like, especially like people I think are coming at it from a mentality of like from UFC, but this is different. This is boxing. So
yeah,
it's
that's
like,
all, I mean, they're fighting with a specific rule set to stop Conor McGregor from literally killing Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Because if this was a real fight, Floyd Mayweather would lose in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
If this was an MMA fight, Floyd Mayweather would lose in 30 seconds or whatever. Like he would have, even if they stood in the octagon and only were allowed to throw punches,
Yeah.
McGregor would still knock him out.
I still love it
But-
that last McGregor fight where he literally like knocked the dude out in like it was like
a minute.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then like at the end he was like, I want to apologize
For absolutely nothing.
for absolutely fucking nothing. It was so good.
Like
He's
he's
I
a
love
great
him.
fighter.
Yeah.
No one expected him to win this fight. He won 3 rounds against Floyd Mayweather, which is way more than anybody expected to.
Yeah.
He landed more punches than Manny Pacquiao did.
Yeah.
30 more punches than Manny Pacquiao did, which is like, great. He's never actually had a professional boxing fight.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And he's fighting against someone who's
and
widely
he wanted
considered
to do this, right? Like
yeah,
he
of
was
course
like,
he made
will
$100
beat
million
you.
last night.
Yeah.
And he did a great job of selling the fight, which is what Mayweather, like what they both do.
Yep.
This was like, I have news for people who don't watch the fight game. Like a lot of people were like, he's being disrespectful and blah blah. I guarantee you, Conor McGregor called Floyd Mayweather on the phone and told him, "This is the stuff I'm going to say. What are you going to say?"
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll say this instead, and it'll set you up to say that. Like, you guys got played. This is what happens. This is the fight game.
Y'all played yourself.
You don't like. Did you realize that right after the fight ended, they both walked up and were smiling, shaking each other's hands, and kissing each other? Like, yeah, they just made $200 million. Of course they are. This was all part of the plan.
Y'all got.
Of course, Mayweather was always going to win. There was never really a chance that McGregor ever won this fight.
Yeah.
Pretty much ever.
Yeah.
Not that McGregor's not a great fighter. It just is not what he does.
It's not his wheelhouse.
Yeah. So, and I think, like I said, I still think he did great, considering he's fighting the best defensive boxer of all time and widely considered to probably be the best boxer ever.
Yep.
People can argue with me with that all they want. He's 50, No one else has ever done that.
Yeah.
So, even Ali he's never been knocked down in a professional fight.
Yeah.
I think it's a little weird that they stopped that fight when they did. McGregor was clearly getting the crap beat out of him. But if you watch that last encounter, he only got hit 4 or 5 times real hard.
Yeah.
And he wasn't on the way to the mat or anything like that.
Yeah.
So they stopped the fight while he was still standing. He never hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That was always going to happen, though, because boxing wants to make sure that he got knocked out. And boxing, for everybody who doesn't watch boxing or doesn't watch fighting, boxing, ridiculously corrupt.
Yeah.
Like, fixed fights all the time. Like, boxing is, like, in a bad place right now.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
What
I watch fighting all the time. I can appreciate what Conor did. He hit a couple of
It was a good event.
Yeah, it was a great spectacle, which is all this ever really was.
Yeah.
I give Conor a lot of props for going out there and like actually putting his money where his mouth is.
Yep.
And getting like he knew there was never really a chance in his mind that he won the fight either. He's not a dumb guy. But he's gonna come back to MMA and bring all this great new press into MMA and continue to probably just murder people in MMA because that's what he does.
Because that's what, exactly.
He's
even I know that.
Right now probably the best fighter in the organization. So
good for him.
Mayweather Conor McGregor lasted 10 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. In boxing, Floyd Mayweather wouldn't last 10 seconds in an MMA fight against him.
Yep. So by the time this comes out, the last episode of Game of Thrones for this season is out. I can't believe what a crazy episode it was, Sean. the dragons ate Daenerys, and Jon Snow and Sansa fell in love, and
Jon Snow met his rival, Frank Summer, and they fused, and it was a big fall.
Okay. And I don't know. I was trying to make up like dumb spoilers, like just make up spoilers for it. But yeah, we record this on Sunday morning, so we have no idea what's gonna happen. I'm so excited. The episode is called "The Wolf and the Dragon," so it's heavily again about Jon and Dany. So we'll see what
Dany?
Daenerys. That's like what they call her for short. No, yeah, dude. Danny Juarez is in the show, man. He just comes up, he starts fidget spinning. He's like, yeah.
They're like, there's a dragon on the wall. And he's like, you know what else is on the wall? I don't know, but it's going to be lit.
Yeah, he just comes in with fidget spinner, starts stabbing everywhere. I miss you, Danny Juarez.
That'd be a really bad episode of the show.
I'm
sorry, I'm just saying. I don't think his acting is there right now, and like I don't know if his heart's in it.
Yeah, and it's like it feels like his storyline was just really shoved in there out of nowhere.
I don't really care about Game of Thrones. The last episode of Game of Thrones I thought was really cool.
Yeah,
like from what I saw of it. I don't want to spoil it, but
yeah.
Dragons are cool. I guess that show is really overrated.
Well, yeah, I do agree with you. For the most part. But anyway, yeah, that's really all we have to talk about. So because we didn't take any questions this week. Or where are we going here?
I was going to see how long we could do the pause. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. I'm at Sean Twisters. He's at Banandler Chung. Instagram too. It's the same stuff. Sean Twisters, B Chang. And we should go get ice cream.
Nah.
Ice cream?
Nah.
I'm pointing at you, Camera and Alyssa.
Okay. Camera? Ice cream?
Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Like, subscribe, share. We will not have an episode next week, but after that, we'll be back on a regularly scheduled program with a lot of cool guests.
Yeah, since you'll be out of
buying
town.
the third mic pretty soon.
Yep.
Probably today, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of really cool stuff planned. Thank you for putting up with our kind of
hectic
all over
schedules.
Yeah. It's really tough to do a podcast every week. We do our best. But travel sometimes just makes it literally impossible.
Yep.
Next week it is literally impossible for us to have an episode.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it until yesterday. I was like, oh, shit. Sean's at PAX, and then Alyssa and I are going to be at Harry Potter Land, so.
Yeah, which I'm super jealous about.
Yeah,
but
sorry about that.
It's fine,
But you get to go to PAX. PAX is going to be really cool.
Yeah, but I'd rather go to Harry Potter Land with you guys. Are we still doing that for Thanksgiving?
I'm so excited for Harry Potter Land. Right? That's the same one?
All right, hit the music.